to claim today's POAP. And again, and I'll repeat the word before we get to the end of the window, but it is VF2024. Okay, DJ, back to you.
Yeah.
Tell me, I mean, pick it up wherever you want, but like, I'm really fascinated, and maybe there are some insights we can see about the moment we're in now, based on how people were responding to you, looking to give away your craft in order to basically build your acumen, right, and develop your network as an artist.
Yeah, I think there was something like really like punk rock about the internet.
I think
to
you're
me.
muted, DJ.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think there was something like really like punk rock about the internet back then for me. So like, you know, when you couldn't get published by like a gate, let's just call it gatekeeping, you know, like big publishers or something like that, syndicates, a lot of cartoonists would turn to like self-publishing and drawing, you know, mini comics and just self-distribution and things like that. So the internet just seemed natural to me to like, hey, we can put this out, get readers, and have more readers watching our stuff in theory than you know, Marvel or DC or comic strips in the newspapers. Um, but there was like that pushback from like the old school, let's say, where you know you're destroying their profession, so they hated it. Like there was a lot of people that did not embrace it. There was a lot of drama, a lot of fighting online for that stuff, and it just seems so silly because I could, you know, a lot of us in webcomics could see the future. Like this is the future, guys, for music, for everything. We were just so far ahead of our time that but I just kept going with it. You know what I mean? I put out my own web comics. I started to like monetize really easy, like really quickly, like from Google ads to like all kinds of weird stuff was on the internet back then, like Chitika ads and like, you know, click ads that would pay you like 25 cents a click. So that's when I really started to get attention because I was putting out a blog, just sharing that with other cartoonists and kind of showing them like, hey, you guys can make money with your art right now. You can build an audience right now. You don't need even a day job. Like let's go, you know. And so that kind of gave me a little bit of notoriety back then, like in the early 1999, 2000, something like that. Um, because I was teaching other artists because I thought like this is the way, guys. And like again, the old school hated it. Like they just like railed against web comics and like we're destroying it. But really, the newspaper industry was sinking. So and comic sales were dwindling, you know, at the time. So we were just kind of like, well, who cares? Let's go do our own thing. And lots of different tribes formed. So that's very similar to now, you know, I'm sure. And um, yeah, I think it's just looking back now, it's quite a journey because like history does kind of repeat itself.
Yeah.
As far as
and just to ground us a little bit, I know you said you started working on the internet around 1998.
right.
What year are you kind of referring to now as you're starting to like find tools for monetization and really seeing the fruits of some of that labor?
Yeah, there were tools right away, but like Google Ads came later on. Like Google Ads kind of came, I don't know, 2003, 2004, something. I mean, 2004. Um, and there was a lot of like referral type things that you could put on your blogs and things like that. Um, I even got sponsorships from just like saying like, hey, you could sponsor this comic by buying like a header ad. And so I had like this Warcraft gold place, like you know how you could buy Warcraft gold.
Yeah.
There was a Warcraft gold place that paid like $2,000 for the header image of the website. So it was like,
wow,
I was already making like $2,000 a month off of like a sponsor just on that one spot. So, um, like I said, all my friends were like skeptical, but then they're like, "How are you doing this?" And it was yeah. Go ahead.
So obviously the world has changed a lot since 2003, 4, 5, 6. Gone through a number of cycles. I'd love to hear the adaptable alien side of DJ Kaufman. You know, something folks in the audience may not know is that live streaming your comic process is not a new thing for you. You've been doing for a while, and we're very excited that you're doing it at Veefriends. I'm curious if you could speak to the agility that is required in sort of keeping up with these tech cycles? Like, when did live streaming become a thing for your practice, and how has it maybe impacted the way that you create?
Well, there was a thing. I can't remember if it was like Ustream TV. Like, I think that was even before YouTube. And a lot of us webcomic guys were like, hey, why don't we do this? Like, why don't we just stream while we're drawing a strip like I'm doing now, and talk to the fans in the chat, like things like that. I didn't do a whole lot of that back then because there just wasn't a whole lot of people on the internet back then. I mean, there was, but there wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, your audience didn't really understand that's what you were doing.
Oh, so sorry, DJ. Just I want to take care of the audience here. We're at the end of the POAP window, so if anybody's in the crowd hasn't got the POAP yet and wants it, the secret word for today is lowercase VF2024. You've got 60 seconds. VF2024. Hope you get it. And while we're speaking to the audience, feel free to hit the request button if you want to join the conversation, ask a question to DJ. I'll continue chatting with him for a while here. You can also, I've pinned up above, if you want to watch some work that DJ is doing on a comic as you listen, you can hop over to YouTube and do that. But feel free to join the conversation if you like. Sorry about that, DJ. Go on.
No worries. Yeah, so I think that's when it started, the live streaming thing. But then, YouTube didn't have streaming when it first came around. But there was Ustream, and there was a few other apps and things. So there was always a streaming element that you could do, but it wasn't till, more recently that, you could have your fan interaction with your like deeper patrons or something like that. Like somebody that was like super fans, like true fans. You might have access to that in like a Patreon or something like that. But it's just a really fun way to interact with your audience. So, but it kind of all fell off for a while. Like, there weren't a whole lot of artists doing it anymore. There were streams and such, but like people that drew comics regularly were not doing what I'm doing now. Like, I can draw and talk and chat. I don't know why. It's a lot of work, maybe. And
yeah, it's a new skill in and of itself.
It is. And so I got good at that. I think I mentioned somewhere before, but because I've been getting asked a lot, like, how do you concentrate and draw and do this all at the same time? And
right.
I went to so many Comic-Cons, where I tabled at Comic-Con's Artist Alley, and I'd have to do like, fan art, stuff like that for people, sketch covers. And I got pretty good at, keeping my head down and still working on like a fan art for someone and drawing in different styles, because somebody would come up and be like, can you draw me SpongeBob? Or can you draw Spider-Man? So suddenly my styles, like I started to learn different, mimicking different styles, and also just being able to like talk to the fan while they were there. It took a while to do that, but it felt like the people that are good at it are usually someone that's interacted with the public live, So really, there's no difference to me doing this or being in like a Zoom meeting all day at work or something like that. Like, put the camera on and just talk. I do go a little slower, I'll say. I've noticed with the Veefriends comics, I was like, oh man, this one took me 8 hours compared to 4 or something, because I stopped to talk and stuff. But
and let's take that turn into Veefriends comics, because you told us like you had an early interest in this, and I don't know, what would you say your professional career as a comic artist is now? 18, 20 years?
Maybe more. Yeah, 20. Yeah, I mean, in 1998 I started doing full-time work in 98, 99, because I was going to Comic-Cons and meeting writers, and I was doing a lot of like small things for different publishers, and there was so many independent publishers out there looking for artists that I could get enough paying work to do that. And then that, coupled with the monetization of the webcomics, it just was a nice, I did that for full time for 13 years. But, the realities of not having health insurance as an artist and having a young family at the time. I had to, basically go back to a day job with benefits and stuff, but I still would do the comics on the side.
Right. And so,
evenings.
At this point, like, you're bumping elbows with all the folks at Marvel and DC. Like, it's clear that your network, like, really spans top to bottom of this industry. And it seems like you had the freedom and skill to kind of move relatively freely. So the question I want to ask you then is, like, what made you take the leap in Veefriends? Like, you're an established comic creator. You can go anywhere in the world. Why did you choose to join us at Veefriends?
Yeah, so I think rewinding just a sec before that would be, I was doing comics kind of for myself for a long time, because I did do a lot of like licensing work, and I did like the sketch cards, and got to work with lots of different, bigger brands and stuff like that, Flowbots, and a lot of interesting IPs out there, but nothing was really full time. Like, everything was just kind of like, what's the next, small payday, pretty much. But with Veefriends, the thing that was most interesting to me was I'm pretty sold on the idea of the 4-panel comic strip, like the daily comic strips coming back, whether they're humor or adventure comic strips, because I don't know, it feels like it matches the attention span, let's say, of like the bite-sized content that we have in today's culture, I guess.
Oh, that's such an interesting insight.
And
yeah, they, like, as attention span sort of decreases, the TikTokification of content.
Yeah.
Comic books, even though they're an older medium or maybe more established medium, they actually fit that mold really well.
And my message to artists that were busy out there was like, listen, you don't need to draw an 80-page comic that you're never going to finish and it's never going to get seen, because you're going to burn out. Why don't you start small and draw and test the waters, like test the market with like an adventure strip or something like that? And it just never really, I could never really see anybody else out there doing it. There's maybe a few people I know that are doing it full time. And I just was, kind of biding my time, staying sharp. I say I was just staying sharp with my skills. And coming to Veefriends was seeing that tweet from Gary in the middle of the night one night, and I was like, holy cow, like, okay, like, he seems to get it. Like, he sees that, what I just said, like, he sees the vision for it. It doesn't have to be, well, even with Veefriends, I mean, we have a lot going on. There's like animations and all kinds of stuff going on behind the scenes, but comic strips can be made so quickly. And so, you see the energy, even like just in the past couple of weeks, people are excited, the bison strip thing that happened. And we've only just like cracked the surface, scratched the surface here. So it's exciting.
Yeah, that's so cool. I think I do want to dig into how you reacted to Gary's call for artists. But we have another Veefriend on stage, Gate Dude. So I want to say hello to them, see if they have a question for you. So what's up, Gate? Gate Dude, are you there? Do you see him on stage, DJ? Sometimes Twitter bugs out a little bit.
I do see Gate Dude. It says he's a speaker.
We'll see Gate Dude. Yeah. Gate Dude, if you're trying to speak, you're muted right now, so you need to hit
that little button,
mic icon in the bottom left-hand corner.
You just interrupt us when you figure it out.
Yeah, all good. We'll come back to you. So let's go there. Actually, I see this comment. Okay, I'm going to interrupt my own question. DJ.
Yeah.
How many Veefriends have you drawn so far?
Oh man, I don't know.
Like unique characters.
I don't know. That's a good question. There's
just ballpark. Like, are we talking a dozen, 2 dozen?
Probably 30 or 40.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, is there one that's an early favorite that you're finding yourself either enjoying to draw more, affiliating more in terms of the attribute, in terms of the feel of the character?
Well, I really liked. You guys maybe haven't seen it unless I previewed it in the other streams, but I kind of really like the cowboy and cynical cat. So But I just drew the wizard too, Willful Wizard, and so we've got some sketches coming up for that, like some comics coming up for that. So he's a really fun one to draw, Willful Wizard.
Yes.
And I mean the Bison, he's like there's so many characters that like I could draw a different character every day, but I kind of want to revisit the Bison and revisit Flex and Fox and like have them come around more in the strip. So yeah. Was there another?
That's great. I mean, I know Josh Courage is going to be really excited about that answer, and I'm also excited to see how it develops over the next several weeks and months.
Mm-hmm.
We have another friend on stage, so I'm going to pass it over to Savvy D. Savvy, thanks for joining us, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to both of you. Thank you to everyone. DJ, I have a question for you. First of all, like, you're amazing. I just absolutely love everything that you're doing now, but also the work you've done before. I'm really excited. The book was awesome. I got that from Amazon, so if anybody hasn't already, definitely should. But also, you touched just very briefly on how when you grew up, it wasn't necessarily a supported field for you, like with your family. How do you, my son loves to draw, and I support everything. I put his art up on the walls. He's actually really good. And that's not just like a mom statement, like it's a legitimate statement.
Right.
And he's so hesitant though to put stuff out into the world.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny when I say like I didn't have a supportive environment, because then there are like family members that were like, hey, we supported you. Like, so, I mean, I definitely had like, a support network kind of like, but I would say like the world in general, like maybe teachers, even my art teachers were like not what you'd think they would be, but they were like, you might not want to go into this field, like comics in general, like cartoons and things. People just don't see it as a lucrative thing. And there's an argument to be made there. Like, there's not a whole lot of full-time work in that space right now. Like, it's like the NFL or something like that. Like, you might get in as like a third string something or storyboard artist, but like it's tough. It is a tough thing to do. It's not like an easy job to get. That said, I think that all the tools that we have now, like, oh my God, if I would have had an iPad when I was, 9 years old, like, and I see kids now on Webtoon. There's an app called Webtoon, if you're not familiar with it, where you could publish comics for free. There's so many kids that are just like putting up their comics, and it's all different styles and all different genres. Like, they're telling their stories. Like, that's the best way to learn to draw comics and make comics, is just to make comics, right? So even if they don't put it out on an app like that, put it up on Instagram or just put it out there for friends to see. That's the best advice I have for kids, is just like, don't let that hold you back. Now, I said that, but I talked to some kids lately, and like 12-year-olds, and they were like, they hate Webtoon. So I didn't know that, but like, apparently there's like this division between some kids that like it and some kids that don't. So because there's some adult leaning comics on there, and it gets mixed in with the all ages comics. I think that's the problem with Webtoon right now. Not to go too deep, but there's plenty of places to post your art online, or just share it with your friends, and you'll be tell your kids they'll be the coolest kids in school if they have a webcomic. That's the
Noted.
Yeah.
That's we actually do use Webtoons, so I
Okay.
think we're in the category of liking it. But all right, awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Really great question. We've got another friend on stage, but before we go to you, Blight, I want to direct everyone's attention to the pinned tweet up top. Break spots for the first live stream of 2024 on Fanatics Live are available now on the Fanatics Live app, or you can get them through the desktop. So go to fanatics.live to the Veefriends page if you want to participate in this Friday's Break Spots. Again, that show is at 5:55 p.m. this Friday. And let's see, what do we have on the docket? We've got Veefriends starter decks, 5 packs ripped and shipped. We've got a random letter break, A to Z, for a 10-box break. Single sealed packs, ripped and shipped. And is this a new one? I believe it is. Veefriends mini games, a 1-inch capsule plus a card pack combo. Adam, do you want to jump in and give any context? Say Happy New Year's to the folks at home. Yes, I think so. I can hear you, but I hear you coming from my laptop and not from my phone. Let me fix this really quick. Okay, they can hear.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Do more deep work streams as we go. So thanks for tuning in. Look for this finished one on the Veefriends channels. Got to go do a little bit more work on it, and then yeah. Thanks for tuning in. See you soon.